Hello guys, welcome to yet another session here at the Gosu Academy. And what we'll be doing today mainly is talking about this coach cheat sheet that I've made. What it is I've basically just written down some of the most important things I've learned as a coach. When talking about this, with the lurk utility and the map control utility, different players need to know different things. There is utility that every player needs to know. Like, I'm expecting, for example, that even my apps player will have a rough idea how to throw the entry flash on B, because it could be a case where, the apps player rotates over to B and we are only 3 alive, whatever, and then the apps player is the one where it makes sense, to throw the B pop flash, right? This is probably utility that an apps player does need to know. I don't even actually know this a good lineup for the smoke myself. Being able to smoke off long and molotoving short in a good way. I know there is a lineup, like a set lineup, where the molotov lands on top of the roof, like that, and it burns, I believe, under the roof, as you can see, and it burns on top. Like, this is the kind of utility I would expect my, mid player to know. The least important part of the cheat sheet is just you can split up the utility in sort of map control and lurk utility, and then even if there will be some utility, like for example the pop flash on B, or maybe even like a CT smoke on B, it's something I would expect any player on my team to know. That's what we will call like the default utility, right? This is utility I'm expecting every player to be able to know. My girlfriend is tapping away furiously on the keyboard, is distracting me a little bit. But the terrorist's diamond is basically what I use to kind of explain it is, imagine a diamond shape. I'll just try to shoot one here on the wall, even though I'm not the best painter. Imagine like a diamond like this, where you have, I'm not the best painter, basically 4 different options. Explaining this in a shorter way, they have heavy mid with fast rotations, heavy mid with slow rotations, then there's heavy sides with fast rotations, and heavy sides with slow rotations. Like, if you know the CTs are starting heavy towards mid, but with fast rotations, you want to do some kind of tactic which beats the fast rotations. There's this OG Mirage strat, one of the oldest in the game, basically, where you do bench smoke, you do stair smoke, but the first T runs out right when the smokes get thrown. So he's like close, and then it's like go, and then you smoke, and as the smokes are only just now flying, that's when the A player here, if he doesn't have AWP, is jumping, whatever, jumping. Now he sees the smokes, now he pulls his util, and now the first T is already, running out here. And then you can even get a flash over stairs, whatever, you can peek, and anyone who's running back here might die. Right. So let's talk about the heavy mid with slow rotations. I think we've all played matches where it's really easy to fake, because any type of fake, the CT start running like headless chickens. And we've also all played matches where we try to do some kind of a fake and the CTs just don't budge at all. Like, if the A player is playing alone close, like Shadow, whatever, if you contact out ramp with 2, if this player is not getting much help from mid, you will always trade this out and end up in a really good position. Imagine a team which is playing heavy sides, but is willing to do stuff when things happen. If we would play through mid and we would be ready to split, for example, a dynamic team, if they have someone Shadow and they have someone Ticket, it's possible the Ticket player will come to default and they will start like pushing down ramp. The answer I had against this was, taking mid, splitting sides with majority from sides. If they push into palace or if they push into slope, whatever, this is pretty strong to defend against a con split. But it's not that great to be slope if 3 of the T's come late slope and, fight these 2 guys. And that's like kind of the same answer with the heavy side static. Like, well, it's the same but reverse. The answer to playing against a team who plays heavy side static is playing, like, taking mid and splitting through mid. Playing against the team that's heavy sides dynamic, you want to take mid and split through the sides. That's basically the idea of the terrorist diamond. And you can apply it on a lot of different maps as well. Some of them it's more difficult to understand how it works. Like a map like Anubis, for example, has almost 2 mids. Like, you have water and you have mid. And then the terrorist's diamond can be a little bit harder to apply. Or take a map like Nuke, where the outside area is kind of the mid of the map, even though it's on the side. I will move on to the next point on the list. So the next thing is the multi-step default. What I've written is it's a set strat for map control, but it's not a set strat for ending. It allows the IGO to call a set strat for map control into a set strat for ending from spawn. It does sound pretty straightforward, and I guess in a way it is, but in a way it isn't. But imagine that we just have a call out SK, and SK is always where we do long smoke from spawn, and we do Molotov short roof, and then we always get a flash and we take mid in a certain way. Imagine we have one strat where we do like the Fnatic smoke, or like one multi-step default, where we do Fnatic smoke, and then with this, maybe we go close and we do Molotov short and we get a pop flash and we go through with 4, whatever. But imagine it's basically a set strat for map control. The goal isn't to end the round, it's just a set strat for map control.
Let's do Gaslight into Mr. Burrito.
So it's actually possible for the IGL to call not just default, but also call in a sort of set strat where everything is agreed upon. What space do we want to take and how do we want to take it? And also call an ending. The next point on the list is the Counter-Strike ladder on each map. It's sort of a tier list for what is the easiest or hardest T strat to complete. This can be used to prioritize what to block as CT, right? The easiest thing for the T's to do is typically what you want to be blocking first. It can also be used to evaluate the own level of your map. If I am playing Mirage and my team is only capable of rushing A and B, then I think I can pretty quickly assume my team is not very good on that map. And it can also be used to evaluate opponents' level of map understanding. So if I am playing against opponents and all they do is rush all the time, I can probably safely assume they don't feel comfortable playing slow. And if they don't feel comfortable playing slow, it probably means they have worse map understanding. What is the easiest? Like, let's say you go into a Faceit game, you have no idea who your teammates are, if they're good or they're bad, basically. What would be something you can always call? B-rush, I think, was what the majority say. And that is, like, in my opinion, also definitely the easiest to do, right? And just like a stupid A-rush is probably the two easiest things, right? So, like, for the next tier, it would be mid-rush to donut to A. Why is this more complex? You know, you basically can't rush mid without red room smoke, right? Like, you can rush B by just turning off the Molotov. But for mid, if you don't have red room smoke, you're probably dead. And as you also brought up, like, you kind of need someone flashing, and you will probably be fighting 2 CTs. The normal block is like Molo and sometimes double nade on top. So it's more complex also because you will take more damage in doing it. Everything is always more complex when you have to kind of make your intentions known, right? Like, if I come here and I just, as T, I run and I do Brawler and Molotov, and I'm running here, I turn off smoke, like the Molo with my smoke, I get a flash, maybe I go in and check it. Now the CTs know that I want to take Cave. One of the first sessions we did, well, I personally did with Ghost Academy, I called it Cone of Awareness. And it is like the amount of angle you need to be aware of where someone can kill you. So, like, going out of cave is exactly what you said. If I'm going out here, my cone of awareness is... yeah, it's like 180 degrees, right? And one easy way to make my cone of awareness to, like, tighten it, right, is if I have a short smoke, for example. Now my cone is only from here and onto here. So already we tighten it a lot, right? The same way if I would then have, like, let's say Molotov in copy, I don't need to worry about that. Now my cone of awareness is extremely small, right? Everything that is happening in my view. The problem is, for you to, like, tighten the cone of awareness, you need utility, right? Like, you need smoke short, you need Molotov and stuff like that. And every layer of this adds to the complexity. That's essentially what the Counter-Strike ladder is. It helps you rank what is the most likely for the T to do. And what's great about that is you know what you need to focus on blocking first. So, for example, if you don't block B-Rush in Faceit, or if your team doesn't block B-Rush, the T's are going to B rush or they're going to contact B start a round. That's just how it is. So if they see B rush as possible or B contact, they will do it. But if you block that, they go to the next spot on the list. Okay, let's try A rush. Then if they die doing A rush, then they go to the next spot on the list. But every spot, like every step they take up the ladder, it gets more and more complex. And more complex means, going back to the coach cheat sheet, first we can use it to evaluate what is the most important for us to block. And then what you can also use it for is you can use it to evaluate your own proficiency on the map. If my team, for example, is only capable of doing B rush and A rush because we don't know the red room smoke from spawn, that's an issue. And that means we are not very good at the map. So for me to say that my team is good on Ancient, I need to be able to do the red room smoke from spawn and make this mid rush happen. And you can also use this then to evaluate your opponent's proficiency on the map. If you are doing anti-strat, for example, and you see they only ever A rush or B rush, well, then if you block that, you're taking them out of their comfort zone. So the last thing is not something we have to talk about that long, but it's at the top because it's actually the most important. And it just says set focus goals for officials that are not just let's win. Everyone here probably has played some kind of match. It doesn't have to be a team game. It could be, I will use Counter-Strike as an example, but let's say you're having like a rank up game or you're hitting a new sort of career high in Premier, or you are trying to get level 10 on FaZe and you're one match away and stuff like that. We've all felt this pressure, right? Pressure to perform and pressure to win. But it doesn't really matter where you are in your career. If you are just a FaZe grinder, that will be your official. That will be the most important thing you have. And basically, instead of setting a goal, this is what everyone does, and this is how you can be better, everyone goes into every FaZe saying, I want to win. And the problem with having that as your goal is it's almost 50-50 that you are going to be disappointed. You're not going to be able to live up to that goal basically 50% of the time. In my next FaZe match, I want to have great active communication. This is one of the best ones that my team uses. And then actually, you take the power out of the result. I no longer am judging my own performance on whether or not I won the match or I lost the match. Instead, I have a focus, which is I want to have great active communication. And what that does is, if your focus is not so much on your own stats or if you're winning or losing or whatever, if your focus is on a goal, like great active communication, right? Then, what you will find, hopefully, is that you will start doing this goal better. You will start having great active communication more often. The goal can switch between matches, right? So, one time it can be great active communication. I think there's a lot of young players out there where the goal could just be, I want to play a match without tilting. Sometimes you will win and it will be easy not to tilt. Sometimes you will lose 13-3 and you will just be hating your life and you will want to tilt. But so long as you manage to not tilt, you've completed your goal. And again, the reason why this is so important is because you don't have to be nervous or feel like winning is the most important. Instead of focusing on the result or your elo or whatever, you will instead focus on your improvement. And then it allows you to focus on your individual development instead of did I win today or did I not win today. But I do hope you appreciated the sort of coach cheat sheet